Hi, Rob Grimes with the IFBTA, and I'm here at the National Retail Federation show in New York. I'm standing in the Zebra booth, and we're taking a look at the different technologies that Zebra brings to the table. Now, Zebra, many of you know, bought Motorola a few years ago, so it's about connectivity, it's about handhelds, it's about all kinds of devices and things. So here are the things that I can tell you about looking and walking around this booth, because there's a lot of technology here. So the first thing is that at the core, really Zebra is focusing on the connectivity and network solutions and Internet of Things and bringing different parts and pieces together. And like many of the suppliers here at the NRF show, not all those parts and pieces are actually Zebra products themselves. Many are offered by partners. And as we walk around and we look at some things in this booth, we're going to see that some of those solutions are also not hardware related as they used to be in the old days. Many of them are in fact our software applications, and then the hardware is provided by different partners, and then of course there's some component of connectivity in there that brings it all together and then has that communication together as well. So we're going to take a walk around and look at 3 or 4 specific technologies within Zebra, and then you'll get the idea how and why it all fits together and why they're here at the NRF show. So as one of the components that we're seeing in the Zebra booth, they actually are showing some temperature monitoring, the Internet of Things for temperature monitoring to be exact. And what they're talking about is how they can use their devices connected in the network to bring information resources to a retailer. Now, of course, a large part of the Zebra platform is focused on RFID, and of course we know that RFID is not necessarily as prevalent in the food service industry as it could be. However, as we think about supply chain, we think about cases coming in, we think about the walk-in, we'll start to see RFID-enabled cases and things that we are able to monitor. So if we take a look at this refrigerator, of course this is a small one so we can think about the big one, they've got some chips in here and they've got a monitoring device that is sensing 2 things. It has a light sensing piece which can figure out the light when the door is open and closed, and then it also is doing temperature monitoring. And then through their network called Zatar, they're actually sending information to a central network as the information comes in. So that could be from multiple locations, which of course is becoming extremely important as we think of food safety, food handling, and temperature monitoring. So they can bring that information into a central platform, and then that platform can actually connect with other suppliers and people who need that information on a one-on-one basis, or they can see everything that's coming in. So if you start to think about where Zebra's going with the platform, you start to connect the dots, and that's probably actually a pretty good term for it. You start to connect the dots of putting the different pieces together within a store, and then those stores connected to the cloud, and then the Internet of Things coming on, bringing in other devices, other applications together. So temperature monitoring, clearly one of the clear focus areas for the food service industry here at Zebra. Okay, so another one of the technologies, and if you think about the history of Zebra and you think about that they started in the handheld scanning device, they got Symbol, then Motorola, and if you think about how all these things rolled up, well, this is called a sled. And as you can see, here's an iPhone, and the iPhone just connects to a scanner. And the way that this works once it's connected is it's using Bluetooth technology to communicate to the scanner. So if you have your application that's running on the iPhone, if it's running on a Symbol device, if it's running on an Android phone, and they really are agnostic, they don't really care which operating system, you can go ahead and attach your device that you're giving out, you start to get multi-functionality out of it, and it's all about the software. So the software is in there, it communicates via Bluetooth to the device, and then you can go ahead and get the kind of scanning and things that you want to do, RFID, barcode, any kind of scanning. Now the differential is this, is people have started making devices, or making sleds, if you will, that you put a phone into that actually have readers built into the phone. Instead, using this kind of technology, you can go ahead and use a standard off-the-shelf smart product, and then go ahead and buy the technology you need, which you're never going to stay on top of it over time, buy the technology you need in order to be able to do the scanning and add other types of appliances to it. So this is a pretty cool device in order to take something off the shelf, make it work in another function, and in this case, following the theme of Zebra, of being able to connect in the network, to be able to do scanning and other types of things within a retail application. And again, our application is very obvious for this. It could be taking inventory in the walk-in. It could also be in a hotel room looking at different devices and scanning. But again, an innovative way to take a technology that is made for the environment and made for the functionality we want, and then taking an off-the-shelf device, applying it to it, and then focusing on the applications using standard interface and integration technology like Bluetooth to get that information across. So another one of the things that goes back to the core of Zebra through its iterations over the years is the power of one, or the communication and tying things together. So as you may recall, a long time ago, we started to have a lot of walkie-talkie devices, and Motorola was certainly one of the vendors that was a leader in that. And as we go around restaurants and hotels today, we see a lot of devices. Every maid has one. In a lot of restaurants, especially the big ones, you'll see walkie-talkies. If you go to a hotel, you'll see a lot, as you go around the resort. So the idea here is, again, not for Zebra to just be a hardware manufacturer, but to offer multi-platform functionality across, and the communication of bringing it all together within one platform. So if we start with this, and then we take a look at some of the devices that are sitting here, they're really talking about two types of communications. One would be the push-to-talk, and if you think back to the Nextel days, push-to-talk came out there. Well, they're offering either on their own devices push-to-talk, that you're actually using the device as a walkie-talkie to be able to communicate one-on-one with people within the unit. Now this, of course, says Symbol on it, which is one of the companies that came within the portfolio. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be their own device that's here. It also can be an iPhone, or it could be an Android. It really doesn't matter. This is an example where the company has made a transition to offer the hardware if you want it, and of course, this is one of their devices that's multifunctional, has a reader in it, could be used for the inventory that we were talking about earlier, but also could be used as a multifunctional device for communication. But at the same time, as we start thinking about bring your own device, the employee themselves may be using their own device. And whether it's Android, or whether it's the iOS platform for Apple, or whether it's Microsoft, it really doesn't matter. So, push-to-talk acts like a walkie-talkie. It's a one-on-one communication, and it goes through a central hub. It can be done within the store. And then they're showing, for instance here, they're showing different departments within a store that you might push-to-talk to reach that department, and you'll see that actually on the screen of the phone as well, where it's got the different departments as well on the screen. Now the other way to do it is actually enterprise-wide communication. I have been corrected not to use the term virtual PBX, but let's call it a singular network that we might use to communicate with multiple stores, and that could be anywhere in the world. And that type of communication is actually being done over the web through your connection with your phone server, and so it really doesn't matter, but it's a one-to-one communication anywhere in the world. Well, now this is where you start to talk about departments getting together, you start talking about being able to connect with people in different stores that might all be on the system individually, but then they can be on the system collectively as part of the enterprise. So they have that software too, so that you can go ahead and call the whole enterprise group that's here, call a specific store, or call a specific department using the technology. So again, it's a shift of offering a hardware application, which is where it originally started, and we all understand that, moving to specific hardware that's made for the environment that they're working in, which is what Symbol is doing or what Zebra is doing, to moving to bring your own device, which is something that the employee is carrying on their own. And either way, they have the software behind it and the hardware behind it to bring it all together, sort of in a communication and a network of one. So as you see, as we've walked around the Zebra booth here, there are many parts and pieces. They do pull it all together, and it makes a lot of sense that as applications are readily available for the general retail industry, we can bring them down to the food service industry, apply them, cost comes down, and the ability to link them not only with partners of Zebra, but also partners that we have that are specific to food service and hospitality, is one of the side benefits of it. So Rob Grimes here at the Zebra booth at the NRF show in New York.